Tupac Shakur and Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace both grew up in homes without fathers, in neighborhoods strewn with drugs and crime.
Baltimore has the highest rate of teenage pregnancy, the highest rate of AIDS within the black community, the highest rate of teens killing teens, the highest rate of teenage suicide, and the highest rate of blacks killing blacks. In Baltimore, Maryland. And this is where we chose to live.
Biggie Smalls grew up in the tough Bed-Stuy section of Brooklyn.
He was in the hood, you know, hustling, selling drugs.
What is it that, you know, young black men face when they're in a neighborhood with their peers, and, you know, how they have to be a man in their neighborhood?
This shared background helped bond the two budding superstars early in their careers.
I'm a high guy from Bed-Stuy, putting the swelling on your eye. Your nose even, when I choke you, you stop breathing. When police come, I'm leaving.
As soon as they met, they became like best friends. Biggie slept on his couch. Tupac kind of mentored him in terms of like getting into the industry.
Tupac, who had since moved to California, was the West Coast's biggest hip-hop star, while Biggie was a rising talent in the East.
Biggie Smalls, Junior Mafia, represent, baby, baby.
He knew that Pac was real, you know, that Pac was being real with him. And that's rare in this industry.
I remember them being friends. You know, when Pac would come into town, Big would get missing. You know, he wouldn't be around the neighborhood anymore. He would end up in the city with Pac.
But Tupac felt snubbed after Biggie's first record came out.
I heard a lot of Pac in Biggie's first album. And the fact that Pac wasn't mentioned, he didn't have a song with him, no shout out or nothing. I was like, you know, I was like, Pac gonna be mad.
Their friendship changed forever after an incident at New York City's Quad Studios in November 1994. Biggie's crew was recording late at night when Tupac arrived.
He wasn't coming to see me. He was going to do a record for somebody else. I just happened to be upstairs working on the Junior Mafia project. Seasoned him, saw him coming in, and was like, yo, Pac on his way up.
Two robbers surprised Tupac in the lobby, swiped his jewelry, and shot him 5 times.
I got shot 5 times, ain't near a bullet go on my tent.
Everybody knows the story. Pac felt like he was set up.
I used to share my experiences in the game and my lessons and my rules and my knowledge on the game with him. You know what I mean? He owed me more. He owed me more than to turn his head and act like he didn't know he was about to blow my head off. He knew.
I think that Pac's feelings was hurt. He felt like if you come to the West Coast and you with him, he ain't gonna let nothing like that happen to you. So even if they didn't personally call a shot or know anything about it, they just felt like they maybe had him in a position to allow something like that to happen. Biggie denied knowing anything about the robbery.
Some kids happened to be in the hallway, stuck him up, shot him or whatever. Got caught up in the mix like that. It's a coincidence, you know?
It seemed like, you know, we got the blame for it, and it's like, yo, we ain't have nothing to do with that. But just that night, just something went wrong.
It just got weird really quick after that.
Tupac's anger grew.
Tupac released the most bitter, vindictive, vengeful battle rap and diss song of all time, which was called Hit 'Em Up, where he begins to literally talk about having sex with Biggie's wife.
You claim to be a player, but I bust your wife.
So it was ingenious, and it was evil, and it was vicious, and it was powerful and compelling at the same time.
Sucker, I hit him up.
I couldn't believe that everybody was treating Biggie like the biggest star in the world. I couldn't believe that people was buying into the player image. But Biggie's not a player.
According to Phillips, Biggie was enraged and allegedly started telling gang members he would pay someone to kill Tupac. After Tupac signed with Death Row Records in 1995, the feud grew more intense due to hostility between Death Row founder Suge Knight and Biggie's producer Sean P. Diddy Combs. The music industry saw a war erupt between the coasts.
Come on. The East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Death Row. Y'all don't love us? Y'all don't love us? Well, let it be known then. We don't give a f. We know y'all East Coast. We know where the f we at.
One man against one man made a whole West Coast hate a whole East Coast and vice versa.
You know what I'm saying? And that really bugged me out.
But was it enough to lead to murder? Biggie's friends and family say that despite the animosity, there's no way Biggie called for the hit on his rival. In fact, they say that Biggie always tried to downplay the tensions with Tupac.
It wasn't a big situation like people thought it was, but it was more the media and DJs and radio jocks that was really promoting the drama.
Phillips also writes that Biggie had ties to the LA gang the Crips, enemies of the Bloods, who were affiliated with Suge Knight and Death Row. Phillips says that Biggie hired Crips as security when he went to California. Tupac alleged Biggie was involved with the Crips too.
I hate when them New York niggas be throwing up gang signs. I seen Biggie throwing up this. Biggie don't know nothing about no gang signs.
But Biggie's allies say he had no gang ties.
Big wasn't involved with any Crips. In terms of Biggie throwing up gang signs and pledging that he is a Crip and he's down with these guys, no, that's never happened.
And according to Biggie's friends, he was never in Las Vegas the night of the Tyson bout. He was here at his home in Teaneck, New Jersey.
We watched that fight at home. Big was in the studio early that day, did what he had to do in the studio, then went back home and we watched the fight. We wasn't nowhere near Vegas.
We were in the recording studio actually recording a record, Nasty Girls. We were in and out of the studio pretty much all day. In the session itself, it was really just myself, Big, the engineer, a couple of cats running in and out of the session, just trying to see what's going on.
No photos have yet been found placing Biggie in Vegas the day of Tupac's murder.
I know where Big was at that day. At the end of the day, you got to place Big in a suite at the MGM Hotel that day. But I want to see some information that could put him in Vegas. If y'all really believe he was out there, you had a boxing event where it's athletes, actors, rappers, people from all over the world. MGM Hotel sold out, and nobody seen this 300-pound, 6'4" dude walking through there with a Kango on. Come on, man, you know, it's nonsense.
The attorney for Tupac Shakur's mother says Afeni Shakur isn't convinced Biggie was involved either.
We don't know what happened, and we're not prepared at this point in time to point the finger at Christopher Wallace, and that's Afeni's position. Too many times she has found that people point fingers at the wrong people because they're convenient targets. She will not do the same.
Chuck Phillips says he stands by his story. Coming up, other theories and other suspects.
It was conceivable that Suge Knight set this whole thing up.
When Who Killed Tupac Shakur returns.